Hi everybody, welcome in to Watch Me Wednesday episode number 36. Welcome back into week number 3 of the Pansy Garden Quilt Along. So today we are going to talk layout and piecing curves. So if you've never done piecing, if you've never pieced a curve, hey Kyra, how are you? You're going to want to see this. This entire quilt is basically built off of curves because it is your drunkard's path. Hey Nedra, how are you? So it's a really good one to watch today as far as the method that I teach for piecing those curves. I think you're really going to like it. So hit that share button, and I'm going to talk about first the layout of the quilt. Ah, yes, curves. Oh yeah, Kyra, you know what I mean, right? We're going to talk about the layout first, and then I'm going to take you over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to show you how I piece my curves. I love this method. I've been doing it for a long time. I actually have a YouTube video on it that has been watched many times over. So definitely want to see what I'm doing today. So actually, I'm curious, how are you guys doing on the Pansy Garden? I know that there are a few of you that posted your fabrics and all, and I'm anxious to see some more fabrics and where you are in your cutting. And I'll talk a little bit about that again. I'll just kind of recap when I get over the sewing machine. But let's dive right in and let's talk about laying the quilt out. So as you can see, I have my quilt layout from Quiltster up here to give me some guidance as to how I planned out my quilt. But as you'll notice, I only have 2 of the flower blocks laid out on the design wall. And the reason being is because I have 4 exact same green pansies and 5 exact same red ones. So this gives me my guideline, and then what I do is I chain piece. So in other words, so these 2 blocks here, so let me just take this down and show you. This block here, okay, it's not pieced yet. This is repeated 4 times in one flower. So if I have 4 of the same flowers, that's going to be 16 of these. So I match up 16 green quarter circles and 16 of the white. And I don't even have to bother putting them up on the board because I know I need that many. So then I get my curves all set up and ready to go, and then I chain piece them. So I'm going to put this back up here. So I think you kind of get the point there. So I put these up as my guideline for what I'm going to need to do. And obviously I'm going to need to piece these too. And I will take these off of here because I did set up some at the sewing machine to show you exactly what I'm doing for chain piecing. Thank you, Betsy. I love these too. These are my Feline Fine Fabric collection, believe it or not. And it makes a lovely Christmas look. And by the way, my Feline Fine Fabric collection is still on sale in my shop. So get it now because there's not a lot left, and my newest collection is going to be coming in the next couple of weeks, my Electric Desert. So if you want any of this, come get it now. It's like $7 something a yard. Anyway, so again, lay out your blocks, and remember there's 4 of these and there's 5 of these in my layout. So I simply just multiplied what I needed to do and then sort it out. Now I do have my other pieces over here because I set it up so that I could put it on the design wall. But then what I did was I simply took, you know, I am actually working on the these 2 pieces at the moment. So I needed, I believe it was 20 of these because there's 5 blocks of the red and there's 4 in each of the red blocks. So I actually have 16 over at my sewing machine, and then the other 4 are still on the wall. But what I did is I took 16 of these and then 16 of the red quarter circles and then started doing the curved piecing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine. So I got to get a little closer and we're going to walk over there because I have the camera here and I got to bring it over there. So here we go. So sorry for moving. I know that sometimes can be kind of strange when you're doing a video that it's moving a little bit. But anyway, so now's the time you want to hit that share button, okay? Because I'm going to show you all about the curved piecing. So the first thing I need to tell you is obviously you need to set up your machine, and I'm working on my Epic 980Q. I have Aurifil 50 weight thread in it. I have a 1/4 inch foot on, and you'll see that when I bring you up close to see the foot. And I also have my stitch length set at 2.0. I don't necessarily like the, most machines are at a default of 2.5, and for me I find it's just a little bit too big of a stitch, so I like to bring it down to 2.0. okay, so that's how I want you to say. Oh, and I also actually have a Microtex needle in. It leaves small, Microtex 7010, it leaves smaller holes, especially if you're using batiks. So now if you are in the Quilt Along group, make sure that you go and you're gonna, afterwards, I'm gonna have the PDF for this week in the group. I will load it up to the group so that you can download that and print it off so you can see what you have to accomplish before next week or next time. If you're not here next week, you know, these videos, once I'm done with them, I do keep them posted on my Facebook page. So they're there, and they're also on my YouTube channel. They're accessible anytime, so if you can't possibly join in right now, you can jump in at any time. So it's really, these are super good as far as your tutorials, and you can watch them at any time. Of course, this is the pattern we're doing, and again, the functionality for whatever reason on Facebook's not working, so you're not able to read it. But it's Pansy Garden. This is my pattern, and that's the insert you get for the templates, which last time I told you you can make your plastic templates out of template plastic, or I put the link in the description last time for the ruler templates, and I'll do that again this time. So if you're not quite there yet, you can still go grab them, okay? So I'm gonna turn the camera down so that you can see what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you how to do these curves. And it is a drunkard's path quilt, so I don't know how many of you have done a drunkard's path quilt. Raise your hands or give me some love to show me you've done a drunkard's path quilt. If you haven't, I'm gonna show you a method that you're gonna get, and I'm gonna show you this. I did piece one for you. See how nice and smooth that curve is? So super smooth. I'm gonna show you how to get a curve that looks that smooth, right? So I hope you're all, and here's the back of it so you can see. Really nice, right? So I want to show you how to do that. I'm going to turn down and hit that share button because people are going to want to watch this. I'm sure of it. Okay, so put just a little. There we go. Okay. All right, so Betsy's asking if anybody uses freezer paper for templates. I have not, Betsy, but anybody else, if they've used them, you can hop in there. So anyway, I want to show you here what I have. I have my two pieces, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set them up just like all the other ones that I have set up here, and I'll show you those in a second. And right now, all you need are these two things. You need your fabric glue pen, and I need 2 long fine pins, okay? And I will put links for these above when I'm done so that you can get them. They are, if you don't have them, they are on my website so you can get them. So I'm basically, now if this was a printed fabric, so this is my right side, this is my right side, so I have to flip my right side to right side. They are batiks, so not much of a difference. So anyway, the straight edge here, I'm going to match up with the straight edge there. And I'm going to take one of my pins, one of my long fine pins, and I'm going to weave it into that edge. And I'll show you a close-up of what I did. Weaving it in helps to keep it from skewing the block when you open that out, okay? Now I'm going to take the other edge and bring it around to the other side. So it's a straight edge again against a straight edge. And I'm going to line them up super nice, and I'm pinning super close to the edge too, by the way. I'm going to take that second pin and I'm going to do the same thing. I am going to weave that pin in super close to that edge. Okay, so there's the other pin. See how I've woven that in? Super easy. Now, here's the important part. You don't want to try and do this like having this up in the air. You notice I haven't found the middle of this or the middle of that because I don't have to. These will meet up super duper close. So if you, especially if you've cut accurately, but you need to keep the quarter circle down onto a hard surface. So I'm going to try and come in here pretty close. I'm going to show you the glue pen. You can replace that. So I have replacements for that, but it's nice because it's just tacky enough. It's great for fabric to fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this down on a hard surface because I don't want to lift it up. I have two bias edges here and I don't want to stretch it. So I'm going to put a little glue inside the seam allowance, and then I'm going to take my edge and just match it up and press it down so that this stays nice. And you're just working your way around, and I'm just matching those edges. I'm not stretching them at the edges, because if you do, what'll happen by the time you get to the other side, you'll have extra fabric. Now, if you're a righty, you're going to start from the right hand side. If you are a lefty, you will start from the left hand side. If you don't do it that way, then your one hand will be in the way. You won't be able to see what you're doing. And this is so nice because it's a fine tip. It's not wet. And if you put it down, you're like, oh no, I didn't line it up very well. You can just pull it back. Now, if you let them sit for a little while, they will dry. So you can't get it apart so easy. But all you have to do is put a little bit of water on your fingertip to get it wet. And then the moisture from the water will release the glue. Okay, and again, this is not even getting anywhere near your needle because you're putting it right inside the seam allowance. Now I'm almost to the other side, and then I'm just going to match that up, and I'm done. So now here's what it looks like. Okay, so you can see that from the front, from the back. I matched up the edges super nice, and then what I do is I have all of mine all set and ready to chain piece. So I have 15 here right now. I still have the other 4 up on the design wall, but I'm going to show you what you need to do at this point, okay? And then I will show you how you press it, and you're going to get a nice beautiful seam. So I'm going to bring you over to the sewing machine now. Okay, so I have my 1/4 inch foot on here, and the other thing I'm going to use is my purple thing. And if you are not familiar with the purple thing, it's this little tool, and I will put a link above me so you can see after I'm done, and you can purchase it if you like. You can use it like this as a stiletto, okay, underneath. You can use it here. This little square is actually a perfect 1/4 inch square, so you can always check your seam allowances with that, which is really cool. It has a little hole there, which you can put a ribbon or a thread through it so you don't lose it. Or how we're going to use it is this way. It's got this little flat edge, and I'm going to use it in front of my circle when I'm putting it through here to keep the puckers and pleats out of the way. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to chain piece just 2 at the moment because you don't want to watch me chain piece 15 because it will take a little longer than, just 2 minutes to do it. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put your needle down. You want needle down position. If you have that functionality on your machine, use needle down. Now on my Viking Epic 980Q, when I put the needle down in, it has this feature where the foot lifts up ever so slightly. So if I need to, I can get in there and I can adjust along the way. So it's really nice little feature. If yours has that feature, definitely use it, okay? So I've got my 1/4 inch foot, and I'm just going to run, or sew, I should say, not run, sew along at a 1/4 inch using the edge of my fabric at the edge of my 1/4 inch foot. Now, I don't like to sew over pins because that's not good, so you're going to want to pull your pin out. Whoops, and I dropped it on the floor. Don't go barefoot, Jackie, And then I'm just going to use, if you're watching, see how I'm using this purple thing right in front of the needle to push any puckers or pleats that might possibly get in the way to the left of my needle, okay, because I don't want puckers and pleats. And a lot of you might say, well, why aren't you sewing with that down? And one of the big things in garment making when I learned to make garments was that you always sewed with the bulk of the fabric down at your feed dogs because that would help ease any fullness through. Well, this way you actually have just a little bit more control. So if you actually want to put a pleat in there, you can, because you can make it fall where you want. Or if you don't want any, you're pushing it out of the way. So you don't want to see it there. You don't want it there. And I can stop and readjust along the way so that my puckers and pleats don't, if I have any, don't fall in there. So I'm going to take this last pin out, come through to the end, and then I'm going to take my next, whoops, this one I already sewed. That one I sewed, I did 2 already. Then I'm going to just put the next one in. So you see the benefit of being able to set up your curves before you even sew. And that's why I recommend that you just put 2 flowers up, the 2 different flowers you have. Of course, now if you designed yours with multiple different flowers, or pansies if you will, then you're going to have multiple different colors to match up. So this particular grouping, like I said, has 20 of the same exact coloration. So 20 of the red quarter circles with the pink cat whiskers, and 20 of the background coconut color. So that's why I can chain piece. And what I did is I just, you can sit in front of the TV and set them all up and get them all ready to go. And you can do your whole quilt basically. And then once they're all done, then you can get them back up on your design wall so that you can join the blocks together. Okay, so now I'm not going to chain piece anymore. You get the idea. Okay. Cut them apart, and now I am a thread snipper, so I'm going to cut the little teeny pieces of thread out because I don't want them there. And then I'm going to swing you around again, and I'm going to show you how to press these. Okay, so here is one of the blocks, and basically this is going to press out towards your background. Okay, so you're just going to take your iron, and I'm not pushing this at all, by the way. I'm just pressing it down, giving it some heat. But what I do like is I do love my Mary Ellen's Best Press, and I have this fine mister. So I like that because it helps your seams just to lay ever so much flatter. Now this square will measure out at 6.5 inches when it's done. Okay, so that is what that will look like when it is complete. So you can apply this technique to any curve. so simple, and you get such a beautiful result with your curve. So let me push it back here, and I'm going to put the camera up again. And there we are. Hi everybody, it's me again. So I hope you all, I'm going to put it up just a little further. So I hope you all liked the curved piecing lesson. I love curves, and it adds a little extra something to a quilt. I think so. Anyway, yes, easy peasy curves, Cara, you know it. Anyway, so I will put the glue stick, Jeannie, you're asking, I'm going to put the link for it up there. It's not a glue stick, it's a glue pen that's refillable. I'm going to put the link for you. I have them in my shop, and they are refillable, so you can get them, you know, you can get the refills, so you only need one pen. You can get the refills. I'll put the link above me when I'm done, so you can find it pretty easily. Don't use wet glue. Wet glue is not good because it's gonna make everything pretty darn messy. Anyway, so once you're done sewing all your curves, you're gonna put everything up on the design wall, and then you're gonna start joining your blocks together. Now, you guys, I'm gonna show you here. I'm gonna bring you back in again. Actually, well, I was gonna do this next week, but I think I can show you today. How's that sound? Because I know that some of you are gonna want to get started. So I'm gonna show you how to join these together because the seams go in the same direction. So you want that consistent curve. So I'm going to bring it in really close. I'm gonna pull this down, and you're welcome, Jeannie, you're welcome. So I'm gonna bring this down so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. So I'm gonna get it down just a little more, and it's really super simple to do, so that when you want to start joining these blocks together, because I know a lot of you are going to be working on this, you're going to take your pin, your super fine pin that I'll put the link for above, a 1/4 inch down, and then if you're not sure if that's a 1/4 inch, you can take your purple thing and you can do that measurement. I've got a pretty good eye about it, only because I've been doing this for so long. And then you're putting it in the ditch side on the one, and then you're putting it in the ditch side on the other. So if you can see what I'm doing there, okay, then you're gonna put that together, and once that pin is in there nice and straight, you're gonna hold real tight here, and then you're gonna turn that pin down, okay? Now, you can put a pin into either end if you like. This is going to give you a super nice seam allowance. Remember, these are going to measure at 6.5 inches, these blocks, okay? So here's a little trick that I'm going to show you. So we're going to come back over here so you can see. So when you want to do the seam allowance here, or this part of your seam, I'm going to take this up to a basting stitch, so I'm bringing it up to 3.5. So, and I'm going to sew it at 3/4 inch. Here's a little trick. I'm sorry. I'm sewing it at a 1/4 inch, not 3/4 inch. So I'm just going to go real slowly over this with the basting stitch, because I want to make sure that that is where I want it to be. And a basting stitch is a whole heck of a lot easier to rip out than a regular stitch. So then I'm just going to open this up and see if that's where it falls, where I want it to fall. And look at that, how perfect that came out, right? So that's my nice curve. So now all I need to do is sew directly over that basting stitch. I'm going to trim that out of the way. And I'm going to bring my stitch length back down to 2. And then I'm going to start stitching. And I'm doing just at a 1/4 inch. I still have my needle down. And I'm going to do just a straight stitch at a 1/4 inch, and I'm going to sew right on top of that basting stitch. Oops, and my top thread broke. So hang on a second. We're going to re-thread real quick. I use my auto threader. Okay, so now we're all threaded up, and we're gonna go again right on that basting stitch. Easy peasy. And I'm right on top of that basting stitch because I know that it's perfect and that is where it needs to be. Okay, and to press this, so couple theories here. It depends on how you want to cut. I'm going to trim. I'm such a thread trimmer. I'm cutting those basting stitches there too. So depends on how you want to press. So I'm going to give you a couple options. Yes, you can press it to one side. So you can press it when it's like this and then press it to one side. So you can certainly do that. Or you can press it open. I find that sometimes pressing it open gives you an even nicer seam and a nicer match up at that top. So let's see. So I mean, it's your choice, your preference, however you want to do it. But I find that sometimes I know it takes a little bit longer to press them open, but I think you get a really nice result. And then you can give it a little Mary Ellen's on that seam to lay flat, super flat. So that's how you're going to join your blocks together. So here's the piece. See how nice and beautiful that curve is and how nice it matches. So you take advantage of that basting stitch. You have it on your machine. Take advantage of it. Now I'm going to turn you up. There we go. So you learned a few little tips and techniques today, which I really like. So what does Karen say? Curves are actually fun once you've done a few. Nothing to be afraid of. Absolutely. I totally agree with you, Karen. So get your curve on, okay? And let's see some of those Pansy garden quilts. Get it laid out. You only need 2 blocks laid out, and then get your pieces ready to go. Get them all ready to go, pinned and glued in your so you can chain piece in your machine. And I think you're gonna have a great time doing it. I really do. I think it's a whole lot of fun. Hey, there's Jackie. Hey, Betsy, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I hope you all enjoy the tutorial. Don't forget to come back next week. So next week, I have the PDF in the Quilt Along group, and if you're not in the Quilt Along group, I'll put the link again above me so that you can join the Quilt Along group. Next week, you'll have your curves done, or maybe mostly done, and then you can start joining those blocks together. And next week, we're going to talk about putting the borders on, and we're going to wrap everything up. So I hope you're enjoying the Pansy Garden Quilt Along, and I will see you all next week. You have a wonderful rest of your week. Happy quilting, everybody. Bye-bye.